Matt, thanks as always for joining us. We appreciate it. We have been having a conversation since the game ended yesterday that the formula for the Bears winning yesterday felt very familiar, and it felt kind of familiar last week too, where it's like, oh, get a run game, get the back out into some space and make him a pass catcher, and then play defense and take the ball away. Are you also having deja vu?
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I thought of, man. It was especially I think that 2010-11 season where we had kind of a like the number one or top three ranked defense in the league, and then we figured out how to run the ball. And I think that is kind of what has happened. I'm glad they figured that out earlier than we did. We had a bye week, I think week 8, and then we kind of figured that out. But they already had their bye week, and now we're on a 4-game winning streak, and it is the consistency factor of the run game that has produced the efficiency within the offense. They're moving the ball down the field, whether it's down the field passes or intermediate passes, but then also with an effective running game where they're opening up seams. And you can see the excitement that DeAndre has, as well as the other running backs, where Monangai had a few explosive runs, and even Roshan got in there and had a big run on a short yardage down. And it's not very complicated. I think it's something that we overcomplicate football, where the best football teams are the ones who have this running game that's established, but also a balanced attack. And they're able to take the weight off of a quarterback's shoulders and allow him to manage the game in a way where he can excel. And then the offensive coordinator who's calling the plays, or the play caller, can be comfortable back there and put the players in position to make plays and create those mismatches on the defense, especially when you got a defense out there taking the ball away and creating turnovers out there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's been at least 8 turnovers in the last 2 games that they've been able to receive and help us on offense to get great field position as well.
I think it's 7 in the last 2 games, Matt. It's 15 in the last 5, which is insane. And it is like those teams, and I love that you referenced 2010. I'm back here looking at it, and 2010.
You got the bye week perfectly right.
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it. 4-3 in the first 7 games. Went over 100 yards rushing just twice for those first 7. But then after that, after the bye, came out and rushed for over 105 straight and 8 out of 9. So you guys figured it out. At the time, did you guys count on turnovers? Did you trust that they were going to come? Because that doesn't feel like it should be the case, but maybe certain defenses are worthy of that.
Yeah, I did. I know going into the games, I was one of the guys that was like, look, if we can establish our running game and at least, stay close, our defense is so good that I knew they were going to get turnovers. When you got 55 out there, 54, 33, these guys are punching the ball out, making interceptions, forced fumbles, all this stuff. And it was just amazing to watch. And it's just inspiring as an offensive player to watch the defense go out there. And when everybody's out there is a professional, especially even across the field on the other sideline. But when you see your team and your defense just they're just a notch ahead of those guys, it's pretty amazing to watch. And I feel like the defense now that they've got a few of the players back that were injured, that weren't able to play in the first couple of games, that the defense is really, having some younger guys step up, but also, Kyler Gordon was back out there. You saw him, hitting the quarterback and also playing well in the slot on defensive guys and on running backs and things like that. So, man, it's just impressive to see. And it's they're playing continuity football. When the defense takes the ball away, you got to get points. The only thing I would say growth factor wise is just when we are able to capitalize on the turnovers from the defense, is we can't always count on field goals. When you play against really good teams that do the same thing, you're going to have to score touchdowns on those and make them pay dearly for when they do turn the ball over.
So, Matt, you're right. The run game has been improved since the bye, and I was wondering about this. Olin had kind of talked about it a little bit last week, too. Like, hey, you were physical with 2 weeks off. And that's easy to do because your body is healed. But for them to go on a short week and still be physical, I think is a step in the right direction. What are the things that you're seeing from their run game on why it's been successful?
The things I see that is the reason why they're successful is not. I think it's two things. It's the right play call at the right time. I'm excited that it's a lot of the runs that have been successful are from under center. It's not a bunch of gun runs where you're at 5.5 yards and you can't get a full head of steam. And, if you get penetration when you're in the shotgun, the play's kind of shot after that. But you see Caleb under the center and, and the running backs and DeAndre are able to get the 7.5, yards deep and really let the field and the blocking scheme open up for them. And then the angles that they're creating. The angles are everything. When you have a defensive front, whether they shift to under front or over front or, there's some kind of different look, they're able to either audible and go weak side or strong side, or they just create the angles to where you put your lineman at an advantage to be successful. Guys are athletic. Sometimes if there's a guy who's way outside, it's hard to reach that guy on the outside zone play. But if you have your play calling set up to where you set your guys up to be in a good position, then the running back can also be patient back there and allow guys to get on their blocks and press the hole as we talked about last week. When you're able to not have penetration in the backfield, you're able to press the hole and allow those those double teams to get up on the linebackers and on the second level. And that's how you create those big plays where you're breaking through arm tackles and then the seams are there.
Man, I have always believed that you can run better from under center, from under the gun. And it has been, God, that conversation has gone for years now, because there are teams that do run it very well from under the gun. But I think most of them have a quarterback who is a threat, Mm-hmm. So he's making people, at least consider him on the edge as the middle is open. But tell us more about that, about running from under center and what that can do, how that's helping guys perhaps even get to the second level when they start as far back as they do.
Yeah, if you notice when you run from the gun, you're offset to one side or the other. They started to try to do the pistol formation where they're in the gun, but the running back's behind the quarterback with that. But it's harder to pass block and do play action when you do that too. But when you're under the center and you're in the backfield, you got the threat of both. And you also have the threat of going either way. If you're offset in the shotgun, it's very rare and not as often that you're able to start on the left side and run to the left side. Unless it's a toss, which, it's not to the advantage of the offense to do that. And your first step as a running back, you want to be going forward instead of sideways. And when you're in the gun, a lot of times your first step, you got to come towards the quarterback to get the ball. You're running sideways a little bit. Now your shoulders may be square, but you're still running sideways a little bit. And when you're in the gun, it's harder to make something out of nothing when there's penetration or something goes wrong out of the gun than when you're under center. So it does help you to disguise certain plays. It does help you when you run in the same play out of a different formation. And then at the same time too, some of the times I would on play actions, I was catch the ball more out of the under the center after a fake because the defense thinks it's a run and they try to get back into pass defense faster because they realize that we were in a run front and went to the pass. So there's a lot more advantageous, I think, formations when you're under the center. Now, gun is important. It's something that you should definitely throw in the mix. But when you do heavily in gun runs, especially if it's short yardage, I cannot stand a third and short gun run unless there's 6 guys in the box or something like that. So we've seen that before over the years where it's been unsuccessful when we've had that. But my thing is you do have the benefit of a threat to both pass and run, but then also the threat of strong side or weak side when you line up in the under the center, and it's just a better threat and keeping the defense on their toes when you do that.
So far, watching DeAndre Swift in some of the zone runs, whether it's the mid or wide zone runs, I love that. And I thought that Ben Johnson's system would work for him just because of the type of back he's been and the type of vision that he has. On those plays, what were you looking for? Like what were the landmarks that you were thinking about in trying to make those types of plays work?
Yeah, it's interesting. When we ran inside zone and it's a tighter zone, I'm looking at the two down the double blocks, the with the center and the guard, and what they're doing, trying to get up to the next level on the linebackers. A lot of times it's kind of odd. Like my vision is I don't know what other running backs say or what they look at and stuff, but sometimes your coach will tell you to look at your lineman and look at the backs or the color of the jersey and make sure you're pressing the hole. I wouldn't even look at the lineman. I would look at the next level to see where the linebackers are fitting, because if I'm running an inside zone to the right and I need to make the defense flow, I'm going to look at the linebackers to make sure they're flowing over the top, because if they're going backside, which is where I want to cut, I may have to jump backside and then go front side because he's staying back, in the back of the defense and fitting that gap. And then when it came to outside zone, you're looking towards the edge. You're trying to make sure you're patient and you're looking at the back of your guy on the end of the line a little bit to make sure he's making his block, because if you see his numbers straight towards you, then you're not getting outside of that block. But if you see that he's pinned the guy on the outside, then you could possibly get a run outside on the edge and be outside of a 7 technique or even into the 9 techniques out there. So if you look out there, you see a 9 technique, you're probably not going to get outside, where that's going to be kind of a kick out block by your tight end. And then everything else from there, you watch the flow of the defense. You got to have good vision to be able to feel the flow of the front line, not necessarily stare at them. You got to feel the flow of them. And then you're looking at the second and third level to see where they're flowing. I used to love a fast flow defense because I knew the cutback on the backside would be there all game, because, when you press the hole and you're able to cut backside, they're not expecting you to go that way because you're running front side.
We're talking to Matt Forte on Spiegel and Holmes. I'm giggling because when we had the conversations in August, like, should we get Matt for a weekly? That'd be really cool. I remember thinking, well, this is going to be a wide open Ben Johnson offense, and running backs catch a lot of passes. Matt's been in wide open offenses, and here we are talking about bell cow running backs and 200 yards a game, Matt. I mean, that's where we are. And that's like some of the sexiest X's and O's hardcore run game stuff ever. And I thought we'd be, it's a good thing to talk to Matt since he caught 100 passes one year, and you never know what this thing's going to look like. What do you see when you look at this quarterback? When you look at this young quarterback who just played his 6th game for his new offensive coach and coordinator?
Yeah, I see confidence growing in him. I see that there's still things to fix, and I think he knows that. I don't think he's under any self-deception to where he thinks that he's arrived in this offensive system yet, or even as a player in the league. And I like how he's handling himself, whether it be in the media and the questions that he gets, or on the field. And I think that he's playing well. He's playing efficiently, and there hasn't been a lot of turnovers that have been by him. There's been those here and there that have been kind of just a knucklehead play, but at the same time, I think he learns from that and is one of those guys that when I make a mistake, I don't want to make the same mistake twice, and that's encouraging to me. So I love that he has been playing at a high level and that the running game is supporting him, because it really does take a lot of pressure off of him and allows him to be back there and make plays the way that he knows how to. So all of what I see has been very encouraging within what Ben Johnson has been doing, and that's even the most impressive is how Ben has been able to, after the first 2 games, it's been easy to just pack it in and be like, oh, here we go again, right? And then they've been able to go on the road, win games on the road, but then also to establish this running game to be consistent and not just a 1 game, surprise type of thing. And then against good run defenses, doesn't matter what they say, oh, this is the top rated defense in the league or this and that, but you got to go out there and play the game, and they've been able to do that. So I've seen a lot of growth in both Caleb as a player, but within the system that Ben is running.
Matt, as always, man, we appreciate the time and the lessons about the run game, man. This is great stuff. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Let's stick to it.
One more thing, Matt. Did you stop when you saw a green grass field this week in the car and go run? Did you run in the field this week?
Or were you with the horses?
I was with the horse. I was out there, late on Friday night. I went straight out there, passed up the green grass to go to the stall and get the horse, and we had a time out there. I stayed out there till about 11 o'clock. So man, I was out there. It's just peaceful, man. And I just get to. I sometimes feel good enough to race my horse, but
that's what I'm wondering. Did you run at full speed at any time this week and just let it eat? Let your sprinter's body eat this week?
Man, I haven't ran at full speed in a long time because I'm about to be 40, and I value not having a torn hamstring because I've had that before. So, man, I just enjoy it. But it's funny that I do have the initial thought of, man, I think I could run just as fast as this horse, and then I was like, okay, let's go back to reality.
What's the horse's name?
Gumbo.
Oh, that's perfect for a guy from Louisiana. Okay. All right, that's perfect. Matt, we'll talk to you next week, man.
All right, brother. See y'all.
See you.
That is Matt Forte.
Man, I'm really enjoying his weekly hits.